Witch on the Holy Night, in my opinion, is Type Moon's best visual novel compared to Tsukihime and Fate Stay Night. Even though they are great visual novels on their own, I still think Witch on the Holy Night is better. For those that don't know, Witch on the Holy Night, or Mahoyo for short, is a visual novel made by Type Moon, with its original release being on April 12th, 2012, with an HD and voice actor console re-release on December 8th, 2022, and once again on Steam on December 14th, 2023. Mahoyo is a story about two worlds colliding, with our three main characters, Aoko, Alice, and Sojiro. These three will learn how to coexist while not just being on two completely different spectrums of society, but also the difference between mages and normal people.
Hey, yo, this Mahoyo's great and all, but what about Fate and Tsukihime? Like, have you seen Arcade? She's beautiful, and Rin. Oh my God, don't get me started on Rin.
Yes, we know. Hot, sexy vampire women, or tsundere with 6 eyes. We know. But in reality, I think it all boils down to presentation. And I think Mahoyo does a better job than the other two. And here's why. Now, to be fair, Fate is an old visual novel and can still hold up story-wise, but the visuals are just not much to look at. While the Tsukihime remake, did I mention I was talking about the remake? Does have that modern Type Moon look. The scenes are usually just flat backgrounds with only one character on screen at a time, with 2 at most. Mahoyo has characters sitting in chairs, standing behind other characters, flash of everybody's expressions, people falling, things flying, people flying, explosions, and the list goes on. Mahoyo has somehow made a visual novel feel so alive, while just being 2D images on the screen. With Fate being outdated and the Tsukihime remake not living up to my expectation visually that Mahoyo gave me, I feel like Mahoyo gets a point in visuals. The visuals are great and all, but what about the story? Story is the most important part of visual novels, because if your story is ass but you look amazing, is it really worth spending 40 hours just to finish some slop? Well, for this, it's hard to say. While every visual novel has branching paths and choices to make, Mahoyo at its core is just a book. No branching paths, no options to choose from, no alternate endings, and no bad endings. Now this is fine in its own right, but it doesn't give that sense of you are learning more and more about a character if you choose something different from the last time you played. Mahoyo's story is great and characters grow, but you'll never see that other side of them, or what could be. So for the story, I'll have to give it to Tsukihime, with how they handle every character and show that there's more than meets the eye, with every choice you make, every ending, and every bad ending. Now, the cherry on top that I think that can make a good experience into a great experience is the music and how it's used. Tsukihime is long with multiple branching paths, meaning you'll hear tracks multiple times over and over again. Mahoyo, on the other hand, is shorter and more straightforward, with some tracks only playing once, and reoccurring ones being used as a sort of theme for characters or places. Fates, we'll just have to forget about that one. I have this dislike of visual novel spamming tracks over and over again, making said tracks not enjoyable to listen to after finishing the visual novel. But Mahoyo is different, with its use of the OST perfectly fitting high tension moments and its lack of fatigue overall. I think Mahoyo wins this one, but that doesn't mean Tsukihime falls behind with great tracks. I just think Mahoyo does better with what it has. And with the scores tallied up, I think it's clear to see that I think Mahoyo wins. Now, that doesn't mean that Tsukihime or even Fate are bad visual novels. I still think they're great. Except maybe Fate. I've only played 7 hours, and that's honestly nowhere in that gigantic ass book. But even then, I think Mahoyo is a great introduction to Nasu and Type Moon as a whole. It being, well, first of all, extremely linear and also pretty short. I think it's a great introduction to what Nasu can write and what visual novels can really be like. With that being said, this is my last video of the year, and hopefully I can do more in the years to come. If I remember. And don't forget. And not be lazy. Anyway, and with that, I'll take my leave.
何よ突然。
新しい年だ。